Welcome back to TalkBacks, where revenge stories aren't just satisfying, they're smarter, wilder, and way more public. Today's episode kicks off with a new girl in school who pretends to break down after months of bullying, only to flip the entire classroom upside down with one move no one saw coming. Then we follow an underappreciated employee who gets fired for not being a team player until her side hustle blows up online, and suddenly she's the one with the leverage. And finally, a woman whose ex faked his own death to avoid paying alimony, until she found him live streaming on Twitch. Let's get into it. High school is hell when the teachers are blind and the students are wolves. I transferred junior year after my dad took a new job 2 states away. I wasn't shy exactly, just cautious. New school, new people, new rules. I tried to blend in. Smile at the right times. Sit middle row, not front. Not invisible, not exposed. But in this school, silence was assent. And the wolves caught it fast. The first strike came during second week. One girl, Lexi, accidentally spilled her smoothie on my hoodie during lunch. Everyone laughed when she said, "Oops, thought you might want some color?" The next week, her friend Madison took my sketchbook during math class and passed it around. By the time I got it back, there were pen marks on my favorite drawing and a giant red loser written across the front. I showed it to the teacher. She shrugged. Don't bring distractions to class. It got worse. They started calling me names, quietly at first, then louder. Try, hard, tumbleweed, brain tumor. I still don't get that one. One guy snapped a photo of me bending over in pay and posted it to a group chat I wasn't in. Another edited it into a meme. When I reported it, the assistant principal said, "Kids joke. Don't feed it power by reacting." So I stopped reacting. On the outside, on the inside, I started tracking. Who said what? Who left? Who reposted? Who ignored it? I built a list. And then I made a copy of that list, on Google Sheets, color-coded. I'm not kidding. I also did something else. One Friday, in the middle of a class where Lexi made another joke about how I must be homeschooled in feelings, I did something different. I dropped my pencil, stared at the floor, then covered my face and started shaking. People turned. I sniffled loudly. Then I gasped and mumbled, "I can't breathe." The teacher rushed over. Kids looked horrified. Lexi froze. "I'm fine," I whispered. Then louder. I can't deal with this anymore." I ran out of the classroom, to the nurse's office. Cried, for real this time, just enough to make my eyes red. I was sent home. The school called my parents. The counselor asked for a meeting. I told them it wasn't one thing, it was everything. They asked, "Do you feel targeted?" I nodded. They said they'd look into it. That was my green light. The next week, I came back to school with a recorder in my pencil pouch, a second phone in my locker, and a USB wristband under my sleeve. I wasn't just collecting names anymore. I was building a case. I recorded hallway conversations, bathroom taunts, group project sabotage. I screenshotted memes, TikTok clips, DM threads that my once sympathetic classmate secretly forwarded to me. I even recorded a 3-minute audio clip of Lexi and Madison in gym class talking about how they made me cry on purpose, because it's fun when she breaks. 3 weeks later, I walked into the counselor's office, asked if I could speak privately with her and the assistant principal. I handed them the USB. Then I went home and waited. By Monday, half the grade had been called in for questioning. By Thursday, Lexi, Madison, and 2 of the boys were suspended for a week and banned from senior events. One of them, the meme guy, lost his spot on the soccer team. But the best part, the teacher who watched it all happen and did nothing. She was reassigned after district review. No one knew how I did it. They just knew I came back from a breakdown and left a crater in my wake. They don't call me names anymore. They don't look at me, really. And that's fine. Because I learned that sometimes you don't have to scream to win. Sometimes the quiet ones just build better evidence. That was just the first fire. Because when you're underestimated long enough, you don't break, you plan. And in an open plan office full of fake smiles and backhanded compliments, Someone else was about to learn that going viral isn't always a good thing. The thing about toxic workplaces is they don't always look toxic at first. Sometimes they smell like free coffee. Sometimes they sound like we're a family here. Sometimes they feel like a dream job. Until you realize the dream is just unpaid overtime and forced group photos. I worked at a marketing agency, one of those sleek startups with beanbags and kombucha on tap. I was a junior copywriter, fresh out of school, eager to prove myself. And for a while, it felt great. Until the culture kicked in. Our creative director, Jun, had a habit of turning every team brainstorm into a performance review. Speak up too much. You're arrogant. Too little. You're disengaged. Suggest a bold idea. Too risky. Play it safe. Not cutting edge enough. It didn't take long to realize the only people who thrived were the loudest ones in the room and the ones who joined her after hours bonding drinks. I don't drink. I had a part-time side gig selling illustrated mugs on Etsy. I liked going home on time and not pretending to love tequila. That made me not a team player. The first time it came up in a one-on-one, Jun smiled and said, "We've noticed you're not super social. It's important we all gel, especially in creative roles." I said, "I'm happy to contribute. I just don't drink." She said, "It's not about alcohol. It's about vibe." Right. Then came the performance review. Despite delivering 3 viral campaign taglines, managing to clients solo for a month, and pulling a weekend to finish a pitch deck someone else forgot, I got a 3 out of 5. Jun wrote, "Technically competent, but lacks team integration and collaborative spirit." And then, 3 weeks later, I was called into HR. "Due to shifting budgets and restructured priorities, your position has been eliminated." I was the only person cut. I went home. I cried for a day. Then I made a comic. It was a sketch of an office where every compliment was laced with a threat. "Boss, we love your work, but can you be less? You." It got 10,000 likes in 2 hours on Twitter. I made another. And another. Within a week, my follower count jumped from 400 to 30,000. My Etsy shop exploded. One of my mug designs, not a team player, just talented, sold out twice. Then Jun messaged me. "Yes, Jun, my old boss. Hey, congrats on your success. We should talk sometime. Maybe collab?" I replied with one word. Vibe. Then I blocked her. 3 months later, I got a DM from one of my old coworkers. They said Jun had been advised to resign after 2 junior designers filed complaints. Apparently, my comics hit a little too close to home. Now I draw full-time. I make more than I did at that job. And I don't laugh at anyone's tequila jokes. Some offices reward volume. Others reward looks. But when the real talent walks out and gets a microphone, sometimes the whole company hears what they've been ignoring. And speaking of pretending, there's one guy who pretended to be dead to get out of paying alimony. And no, that's not a joke. Because his ex found him, streaming live, and brought the truth to court. Let's talk about what happened next. I used to think the worst thing a man could do was cheat. I was wrong. The worst thing is faking your own death to avoid paying alimony, and still being dumb enough to livestream Call of Duty under your real face. Let me explain. I met David when I was 25. He was charming in that former theater major, current crypto investor kind of way. We dated for 1.5 years before getting married. I was working full-time in healthcare billing. He was between startups. I paid for most things. He promised once the next launch hits, I'll take care of everything. The launch never hit. 2 years in, I filed for divorce. No abuse, no affair, just exhaustion. Financial, emotional, mental. I was done carrying a grown man through his entrepreneur phase. The judge granted the divorce and, based on the fact that I made 6x what he did, he was awarded $600 a month in alimony for 18 months. I wasn't thrilled, but I agreed. For the first 2 months, David cashed the checks. On the 3rd, the envelope came back, recipient deceased. I thought it was a joke. Then his cousin called. Saw it, David died peacefully in his sleep. No funeral, he was cremated privately. His Instagram? Deleted. His Facebook? Gone. His phone. Disconnected. I felt weirdly guilty. Like maybe I'd been too hard on him. Then one Saturday night, I was watching a Twitch streamer my younger brother liked. Some Call of Duty channel with like 300 viewers. And I heard a voice I hadn't heard in 4 months. My ex-husband's voice. He was using the name Cryptogore69, because of course he was, but there he was, same jawline, same tattoo on his left wrist, same David laugh that made me cringe. I screen recorded the whole stream. I followed the account. Checked the email link to his PayPal tip jar. It was his old address with one extra number added. Amateur hour. I contacted my lawyer. Turns out, faking your death to get out of court ordered payments is a felony. And since he'd been cashing unemployment while also making money on Twitch, he was doubly dipping fraud. We filed a motion, and I posted a TikTok. Yes, a TikTok. POV, your ex fakes his death to avoid alimony, but he streams with his face and real voice. It hit 3.2 million views in 4 days. By the time the hearing came, David was very much alive and very much panicking. He claimed it was a prank gone too far. The judge didn't laugh. He now owes me back pay, legal fees, and restitution, and his Twitch income is being garnished by the state. But the best part, he went from averaging 300 viewers to getting flamed in every chat. People spam Resurrection Arc and Alimony speedrun every time he logs on. And me? I'm doing just fine. Some men fake their own death to escape responsibility. But the internet never forgets, especially when you give it a good story. And I gave them a great one. Friends, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Pro-Revenge series here on TalkBacks. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another revenge story. See you next time.